kia ora te whānau. My name is Brent Simpson and I'm a teacher at Waiheke High School in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And usually I make videos about educational technology for teachers, but today, as a parent myself, I'm making one for parents on Google Classroom, and I'm going to be explaining a little bit about what Google Classroom is and how it can be useful for you, particularly during this period, this lockdown period, where online learning is going to be a prevalent part of our day-to-day realities, I suppose. So you may have heard of Google Classroom and by now, but you might also be wondering what exactly is it? Now, the thing is, Google Classroom is not really something that most Google users would ever have seen, and that's because it's not available to most Google users. It's only available to schools who use Google to provide students with email access and a lot of the other tools that are available through the Google Suite, like Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Calendar, etc. Basically, Google Classroom is a tool that helps teachers to manage classes online, and there's four main things that it does that I'm gonna sort of go over today. The first thing is that Google Classroom really helps us communicate with an entire class from a central location. Prior to Google Classroom, all teachers had was email, maybe Google Drive, or some kind of cloud storage, and it would get really overwhelming to have a lot of assignments and communication going on with students and teachers and other sources coming all into the same place. So Google Classroom really takes the student teacher aspect of teaching and focuses it on one place and allows us to communicate with the whole class. Secondly, it helps us distribute assignments online, and you will probably see assignments coming through on your students' Google Classroom. I'm going to talk a little bit later about what kind of access you have to Google Classroom. But yes, it helps us distribute assignments. Thirdly, it helps us provide feedback on these assignments through an online interface. And then finally, it can allow us to mark or grade assignments and return them to students. If you, I'm going to put some resources down in my description that I talk about today about more information on Google Classroom, and feel free to leave any comments and questions and I'll endeavor to get back to them. But if you do want to know a little bit more about what's going on with this, then check out this URL from Google. That will give you a bit more in-depth explanation of what it is. So I'm going to jump in and show you what Google Classroom looks like. This is essentially the dashboard that a teacher would see if they were on Google Classroom. And each of these boxes here is a classroom in itself. And so I'm kind of enrolled in a few other classes at the moment. I'm not teaching 7 classes, but I am teaching these 4 classes along here. And I'm going to go in and show you what one looks like. Here's a Year 10 English class that I'm currently teaching. Now, a student, this is pretty close to what a student would see. It's a little bit different because I'm going in as a teacher. But a student who going into Google Classroom for their class essentially starts off on what's called the stream. The stream is like sort of a Facebook or a Twitter interface. Things that that are posted go up to the top of the stream, and older posts are down at the bottom. And the stream is essentially for communication. I can make announcements on there that are emailed out to all students, or that all students would see when they log into their Google Classroom. If I post an assignment, it shows up in Google Classroom. Here's an assignment here. It's got a little icon for an assignment. So it's basically a communication interface. The students can make comments, students can post, etc. The other tab which I want to draw to your attention at the moment is this classwork tab. Now, the classwork tab is where a lot of the assignments are actually going on, and it's kind of also a simple place for organizing work that I want students to look at. And so if I scroll down my classwork page, you can see I've got a section on information literacy with some work that I've assigned on another platform called Education Perfect. I've got some work on graphic novels because we've been studying graphic novels and comics in class. And I've also got some work on a novel study that we'd been doing. And most of these are assignments or some other kind of resource that I wish students to have access to. Your student will have the stream and the classwork, and they probably will have a grades tab as well. I think the people tab is mine to help me manage the class. There's also a calendar for students, and that will put deadlines on it as well. And there's also a class drive folder where their work that they've been working on will be stored. So I really wanted to make this video coming to you as a parent rather than a teacher, because even in my own household with my own partner, I noticed that she didn't really understand what Google Classroom was and what it was being used for in school. And one of the things I want to talk to you about now that's really important is something that Google Classroom does called the Guardian Summaries. You should have by now, at some point, received an email from one of your students' teachers inviting you to subscribe to the Guardian Summaries. Now, the Guardian Summaries are an email that is sent to parents weekly in order to update them on what's being posted on Google Classroom and what's going on in your child's classes. It doesn't let you access Google Classroom, but rather what it does is it gives you an overview and an insight into what's been happening online for a particular class for that week. As a parent myself, what the summary does is it provides me with talking points for my child's work, so I can check in with them on deadlines for work, or I can just start conversations over the dinner table about subjects that I know are coming up in class. We know from research into online learning that it's absolutely essential and crucial for parents to be highly engaged if it's going to be successful. And reading the Google Classroom Guardian Summaries is a great way to keep up with what's going on in your students' schooling. If you haven't received this email, please email your teachers to see if they can make sure that you're added to their classrooms, or check through your email as the invite may have come and you might not have recognized what it was or chosen to accept it. I'm going to show you an example of what a Guardian summary looks like, and I'll just talk you through a few of the things that you could expect to see on a Guardian summary. So here is a fake example of a Guardian summary for a student called Felix, who's at a US high school. Up the top, we've got work that is missing from this week. These red dates, due dates, and so that could be something that you talk about is why is this work missing. But as you scroll down, you'll see that there are posts from each class that your student is enrolled in. So here's a US history class. Here's an assignment that's going to be due August 9th on the price of freedom of speech. There's a question which has been asked through Google Classroom itself, and another assignment. Busy class, that one. Here's in a literature class where they're having to write something, another assignment that's due on August 16th about Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And here's an announcement as well, just to sort of alert students that there's some homework going on. So you can see how having an overview of what's going over in class could be a great way to sort of start conversations. If you know something about The Raven, you could be talking about that over dinner. I'm sure there's a few dads who could quote a little bit of Poe's The Raven. And then you have a couple of settings down the bottom. I think you can change from daily to weekly versions of the email, or you can even unsubscribe down there. So that's pretty much what one of the summaries look like. If you are not receiving summaries and you know your student is using Google Classroom in their school, please contact your teachers to get added to their classroom. Or it's possible that you have already been invited, but may not have accepted the invite or was sure what was going on. So you might want to search through your email for an invite for a Guardian summary from Google Classroom and see if you can accept that invite. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions about Google Classroom, please feel free to ask them in the comments section below. I'll also put some links in the description to more information about Google Classroom. It's going to be an interesting few weeks with a lot of online learning, so make sure that you keep engaged with your students, and checking in with the Google Classroom summaries is a great way to do that. As we say in New Zealand, kia kaha, be strong.